Hi, I'm Anjali Rao. The rich are getting richer here in Asia, and as they do, billions are being pumped into the region's art market. In a place where image and status count for a lot, art is the ultimate symbol of taste and sophistication, an arbiter of which is Sundaram Tagore. He joins me today. This is Talk Asia.
$80,000 is bid, 85, 90, 95, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. $200,000. Going, gone.
It's a vibrant art market, an unprecedented boom for contemporary Asian art. Helped by the economic expansion of India and China, many of Asia's newly rich are diving into the market. And instead of looking west, they're investing in their own heritage, art they can understand and relate to. With Western collectors also buying in, Asian art is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry and is expected to contribute nearly half of global sales over the next 5 years. Sundaram Tagore is a leading connoisseur of contemporary Asian art, credited for playing a major role in internationalizing Eastern art.
You need someone like Sundaram to give you good advice. It is definitely a grey area, and you could easily pay the wrong price for the wrong piece.
A descendant of the world-famous poet and Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore and a family of artists, Sundaram was born into the art world. With his celebrated gallery in New York, Sundaram hopes to preserve and promote the long-lasting family tradition of creating an East-West dialogue, providing a venue that transcends boundaries. We meet in the third largest art trading hub in the world, Hong Kong.
We are at this art show in Hong Kong. What do you think it says about Asia as an international art hub these days, that, you know, so many people from all around the world, curators, art dealers, obviously collectors, have come here to this one show to view and also buy works of art?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. There's a great deal of emphasis and interest in Asia, partly because the Asian economies are doing really well. And if you look at China or India or even Vietnam and neighboring countries, they're suddenly emerging. And because they're emerging, there's a great deal of interchange that is taking place. Because without India, without China, or without some of these great Asian countries, you cannot have a biennale, a world kind of artistic sort of center.
But there's still a lot of talk, isn't there, about this being an art bubble, if you like. Do you think that one day, soon, perhaps it will burst?
If there's a real shakedown in the economy, then it'll come tumbling down. It'll be a house of cards. But as long as the economy is growing and expanding, someone else is there to replace you. And one of the reasons is that now art has become a calling card. Before you bought properties, and then you bought fancy cars, and now they think art gives you a stature. If you want to create a cosmopolitan global city, world city, you have to have the great institutions and museums. Look at Bilbao. No one knew about Bilbao, and this backwater of some Spanish town, and they build one single museum, the whole world knows about Bilbao. And that's what cities like Hong Kong and Singapore are trying to court artists to move in there and create great artistic institutions.
If I wanted to perhaps make a few bucks, buy some art, and then hopefully it would appreciate over time, what would you advise me to go for?
I think you should not go and acquire a work of art for investment. That's the wrong way of. You better off.
People do? People
do. And I would say you're better off buying stocks and bonds and properties. But if you love something, and if you do enough of the research and someone who you trust advises you, you can't go wrong.
How do you choose what goes into your gallery? Do you pick it just by what is pleasing to your eye, or do you have to think of commercial success down the line?
Well, I choose artists that I like. That's the first and the foremost issue. Then intellectually, does it fit in with the vision? We explore the idea of East-West dialogue, and we largely choose large pieces, abstract works, So we are drawn to that. There's an aesthetic reason for that. And yes, then we try and make these artists well known. They're not known. We try and make them known. That's our job.
We've recently witnessed this huge shift towards Asian art. What do you think the fascination is, particularly for collectors in the West?
Collectors in the West, largely the collectors in the West, they come to Hong Kong or they come to Shanghai, they come to Mumbai and they're doing business there. They're affected by those cultures and they said, I want to carry a piece of that with me back home because I like that. That's one thing. The second part is that people have realized it's a great investment value. I don't like to talk about that because art is not about investment. But people are realizing that there is an area that people are trading in it. And that's why there's a great deal of demand from the auction houses. And people are buying art and flipping it, you know, and they want to make a big profit.
Are there risks to purchasing contemporary Asian art?
If you're not careful, you may burn your fingers. That means you have to do a great deal of research. But what people are noticing is that the prices are spiraling and rising so quickly. If they don't get hold of it now, they may not be able to afford it later. But generally, if you have a good art, and good means it has the good right aesthetic components and power, and has a name recognition, it should do well.
Is it difficult sometimes dealing with the artists themselves? Because they are extremely sensitive souls. You must have to tread very carefully sometimes.
In my own family, we have had literally for over 100 years, we've had artists. My father was an artist. My grandfather's an artist. My grandmother was an artist. So I'm in that particular world. I've been very, very comfortable. And I decided not to be an artist because there were too many of them within the family. But they're difficult because they work in isolation. The creative world is an isolated area, purely because the thinking process cannot be done in groups. You have to do it alone. If you're following in the tradition of Picasso, you're not Picasso. You have to break grounds. You have to clear the vestiges of the past.
What makes something like this or those worth hundreds of thousands of dollars?